Hi readers, I'm Elena and today I'm here with Jay Kristoff, the author of the Nevernight series, as all you know. First things, how are you? Are you enjoying Italy?
It's amazing, yeah. Italy is one of my favourite countries in the world. My wife and I actually got married in Rome 15 years ago in 2 days. So yeah. So we come over every 5 years and revisit Rome and go back to Venice, and yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
I'm proud of my country.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
So the very first thing I noticed about Nevernight was the high level of sarcasm. And I totally loved that. Since the beginning, since the very first sentence, it was full of sarcasm. And as a published author too, I really think that there's no good book without a bit of sarcasm.
Sure.
Because reading is just a part of life, and life without laughing is unbearable. So, also including an interview. So it's okay for you if I ask you some questions.
Sure. Yeah.
But in the meantime, we play a game totally based on sarcasm.
Okay.
You know Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah.
Okay, a game for awful people, and I really love it. But I explain something to the readers that are watching us,
sure.
in the case they don't know Cards Against Humanity. So we have some sentences with blank spaces, and we have to fill them with the words that we find in the cards. And the purpose of the game is to create the funniest sentence. I create those cards, and this is Cards Against Humanity, but Nevernight edition.
Right.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. I have 7 cards, and you have 7 cards. You can use adapt them to the sentences. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you know the first sentence, but maybe. Okay, the first sentence is never flinch, never fear, and never ever blank space. So we have to fill them with our cards while you are still reading. The original quote is never flinch, never fear, and never ever forget. So memory is a huge part of Mia, because it's what keeps her focused on her revenge. I was thinking, if she had forgotten her past, she could be more happier?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the events that we go through when we're young tend to inform the people that we grow up to be. And Mia went through some pretty awful things as a little girl and as a teenager. The people that she loved most in the world got taken away from her, and that changed who she grew up to be. But she wasn't a character who was willing to let herself become a victim in that sense. She wanted to be, her anger and her fear and her sense of hurt were all motivators for her. She wasn't paralyzed by them, she wasn't imprisoned by them, she was kind of propelled forward by them.
And that's why we love her.
Right, yeah, she's not a character that lets adversity stop her. She tends to turn the negative emotions and events in her life into positivity, and that's something that I try and do as well. You know, the bad things that happen to me, the things that get me angry or sad or make me afraid, they tend to propel me forward the same way that works with me. So yeah, I mean, she's a product of her environment, but she doesn't let the bad things in life stop her.
That's truly inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
So, have you chosen
I have.
Okay.
All right, sure.
And so now you read mine and I read yours.
All right.
You choose never flinch, never fear, and never ever fart at first date. That's a good one.
F, that works, right?
Alliteration.
Yeah. And you did never flinch, never fear, and never ever sit on a Lego?
Yes.
I mean, that's really painful. Stepping is worse. I
Really painful.
Yeah. But
it's a good rule.
Yeah.
Never sit on a Lego.
Yeah.
It's a good rule.
It is a good way to live your life.
Okay. Second round. The second sentence is my country, Aetria, this land of blank space. Okay. Eritrea is the nation where the books are set, and obviously is a fictional world. So I want to ask you, what is the first part that you create when you are building a fictional world?
Right. I mean, it depends a little bit on the world that I'm building, but what I try and think of is the quintessential difference between this world and the world that we live in. And a lot of the fantasy worlds that I grew up with or took inspiration from as a writer tend to be boiled down to the one key difference. So Song of Ice and Fire is a really good example. The weather patterns are infrequent. Summer and winter comes at unexpected times, and it lasts for an indeterminate period of time. So there's no permanency in the cycle of the seasons, and that changes the way people see the world around them. Particularly older characters who have kind of lived through multi-generations. You look at the way a character like Moran views the world versus a character like Tywin Lannister views the world. So that one change kind of informs both the setting and the mindset of the people that live inside it. Dune by Frank Herbert is another one. So that's a science fiction book where there's essentially this magical substance called the spice, which allows people to fold space. It's what facilitates space travel. But the interesting thing about it is it's only found on one planet in the entire universe. So control of that planet means to control the universe. So the thing that facilitates travel through the universe also determines the path of the universe, in the sense that every conflict is ultimately motivated about control over this resource. So that's where I started with Eritrea as well, the idea that this is a land where the suns are perpetually up, that it's always daylight, and how that would affect both the way people live their everyday lives, but also the way it would affect governmental structures and religious structures. You know, I wanted to create Mia as a rogue. She's a rogue archetype, and I wanted to give her shadow powers and the ability to manipulate darkness, because that's kind of cool for that archetype. But I wanted to set obstacles in her way along the way, because that's conflict is what makes good storytelling. So I wanted to build some conflict into the actual setting itself. So the idea that you've got this girl can control darkness, it's great, but if she lives in a world where there's virtually no darkness, then her powers aren't as formidable as they might otherwise be. So that was where I started, that one thought, like what's the primary difference between this and other fantasy settings? And in that sense, it was the patterns of night and day.
I really love the details of the everyday life and the way it's different from ours because of this weather problem.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it would create a very different world. And I spoke a little bit to an astrophysicist friend of mine who helped out on the Illuminate books as well, and got her to, because I had this idea for a setting, but I wanted to make it at least nominally plausible that a planet like that could exist.
It was really realistic.
All I asked her was, would this be possible? And she said, let me think about it. And she came back like 2 weeks later with a whole bunch of spreadsheets detailing, what sun would be in orbit for what period of time. And I just needed a yes or no. She kind of went that extra mile. She's pretty great. So her name is Sana, and I named the goddess of fire after her in the books, just to say thanks.
It's a good way to say thanks. Okay, now
all right.
We change. Your answer was, my country, Eritrea, this land of necrophilia.
I don't know if that's actually true, it's funny. And you did my country, Eritrea, this land of psychopaths, which is actually, it's way closer to the truth of the books.
Not creative as necrophilia, but
probably more realistic, yeah.
Okay. Yep. Final round. The last sentence is kinda a quote from the book, and is iron or glass. I am neither. I am blank space. So this quote is really important to understand Mia's character. Because she defines herself neither glass, neither iron, she is steel, so something unbreakable. And I kind of found it really impressive, because she's also searching for her true self during the books. and she's still looking for her place in the world.
Yeah.
So, now a philosophical question. Do you think that there is an age when we, us as human beings, can't stop searching for our place in the world? When we find this place in the world?
That's a very deep question. I'm not sure I've studied enough philosophy to answer it intelligently or articulately. I mean, instinct, I would say no. I think as soon as you start thinking you know everything there is to know, you stop growing as a person, and you probably become an unbearable person to be around, because I think everyone should be prepared to have their ideas challenged, and everyone should be open to having their minds changed. I think we live in a world at the moment where people are firmly convinced of their idea of right and wrong. There isn't enough dialogue, there isn't enough willingness to look at another person's point of view, or see them as anything other than an enemy to be overcome. I think there's a great deal of people now who are very set in their ways and their way of thinking. So yeah, my instinctual answer would be no. I hope I never reach the point where I think I know everything. I certainly try and surround myself with people who challenge the way I think, who call me on my bullshit. And like some of my best friends are the friends that I spend almost the entire day arguing with, or have a few drinks and we'll bring up a topic of conversation and we debate each other.
Me too, I totally understand.
Right, I think you should try and surround yourself with people you don't necessarily agree with on everything. Otherwise you find yourself in a bubble.
Yes.
And you don't have anyone who can challenge the way you think. I think it's really important to expose yourself to new ideas and new ways of thinking. If only to understand the other side of the equation. You might not necessarily agree with it, but at least you're informed about it. And if it's a bad idea, then you're informed enough to debate that person about that bad idea and maybe change their mind.
Mia changed a lot in the book, and I really love that. I really love that.
Oh, good.
Okay, the last one.
Yeah.
Your answer was iron or glass. I am neither. I am Donald Trump's heir.
There's a guy who probably had his mind changed about a few things. And you did iron or glass, I am neither, I am a human fresh poop.
Okay.
Alright.
And I think that you totally won this game.
Oh, okay, I won.
Okay.
Alright.
I think you won, and that because of Donald Trump's heir. Thank you very much.
It was great to talk to you.
Thank you. And thank you, readers, for watching us. For now, that's all. Bye!